Welcome to a session on understanding the components of a risk management plan. I am your host Ram Kumar. There are four components to a preventable risk plan. They are identify, risk assessment, risk response, and finally monitoring. Let's look at each one of them one by one. The first one is identify. Identify. The first step is to identify the potential risks within your organization. Begin by gaining clarity and understanding well the business plan or the initiative. Ask as many number of questions as to who, when, and what type of negative events or circumstances are likely to happen. How does this affect the business and who all might be involved? Is this risk internal or external? A useful technique to apply here is brainstorming and having extensive internal dialogue to analyze the likelihood of a negative event happening in a business scenario. Document all the identified risks. Let's look at risk assessment. A simple assessment analyzes the likelihood and the severity of a risk event happening and evaluates them based on the risk levels attained. Likelihood is the probability of an event happening and severity is a measure of the business impact, and both needs to be documented. A risk level is obtained by a simple formula. Level of risk is equal to likelihood multiplied by severity. Let's look at a sample documented likelihood table. This table shows a corresponding score for likelihood happening and its description. Score 3 says likelihood of likely, and it says happens very often, once in a month. Score of 2 says less likely and happens once in 6 months, and score of 1 says not at all and says has never happened. Let's look at a sample severity table. Score number 3 says severity is severe and it says downtime greater than 6 hours. A score of 2 is medium and downtime greater than 3 hours, and a score of 1 says low and a downtime greater than half an hour. Let's look at a simple example. We say that the water shortage or scarcity in the employee building has a likelihood score of 2 and also a severity score of 2. Then we can say that the level of risk rating would be 2 multiplied by 2 is equal to 4. The scores, description, the ratings would vary for different organizations and businesses. Okay, let's look at a sample risk level table with corresponding action items. Level 6 to 9, it's very high and it says the call for action is immediately rectify. 3 to 6 is medium, can wait and provide alternatives. 1 to 3 is low and no rectification required. So for our example, for a risk level of 4, which is medium, the call for action would be to can wait, provide alternatives. Let's look at risk response. There are various risk response techniques available, and the organization and its management would choose whichever is appropriate for a given situation and scenario. The first one is avoiding the risk. No action is taken on the risk and management decides to totally exit out of the initiative or plan. Reducing the risk and looking for available alternatives. We can reduce the likelihood of the risk happening in the first place, for example through focus on quality control, on process, ensuring business controls are in place, and auditing. Sharing and ensuring the risk. One of the good things is to share the responsibility and the risk with a third party through joint venture partnerships or collaborating with established players in the market. It is also good to have the right insurance to cover the operating business. Finally, accepting the risk. Sometimes we just have to accept the risk. Finally, looking at monitoring. Lastly, we have to keep monitoring the implemented response strategy and the risk management plan owing to dynamic business changes within and external to the organization. The risk plan and the response strategies need to be regularly monitored and updated for any changes within the organization. Thank you for your time. See you soon.